Thank you very much for joining me today, Miguel Veiga-Pestana. I wonder if you could just start by introducing yourself very briefly.
Sure. So as you say, my name is Miguel Veiga-Pestana. I'm currently the CEO of my own company, which I've called MVP and Associates, and I'll say a few more words about that in a second. But before that, I recently was the Chief Communications Officer at the Bill & Melinda Gates Foundation for a couple of years in Seattle. And prior to that, I was the VP for what we used to call External Affairs and Media Relations at Unilever, where I was based for about 15 years, operating out of their London office.
Okay, so really what I wanted to talk to you about today was around the theme in the book which describes how businesses are becoming more purpose-driven and this idea of moving from a more status to a better status. Can you tell us a little bit about Unilever's sustainability agenda and also your role in creating it?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. So, as I said, Unilever has been on a journey and continues to be on a journey. It's trying to embed sustainability into its core business activities, both through its brands, the brands that are kind of consumer facing, but also in terms of the way it looks at its entire value chain. So everything from its upstream suppliers and the relationships that it has with its upstream supply chain, but also with its customer base, which often for us is the larger retailers, the sort of the Tesco's and the Walmarts of this world. So it's a fairly fundamental reshift of their core business strategy. Now, I would say that the plan was actually adopted in 2010, and it kind of coincided with the arrival of Paul Pullman as the new incoming CEO at that time of Unilever. And in some small measure, it was a reflection of the fact that as an incoming CEO, one of the things you try and bring to a company is a sense of vision of where you want to go, where you want to take the company. And I think it was just sort of serendipitous that there was a lot of work already happening inside Unilever to think about how it could sort of take some of its sustainability agenda and turn it into something that was much more core rather than something which was often seen as kind of part of its CSR agenda. And my part in that, well, I was at that time heading up external affairs, and I was part of a small team of folks who started to try and understand, well, what does that mean? And I wouldn't say I was the leader of that initiative. In fact, there was quite a large team of people who did that. But I was certainly part of that team, and I was sort of spent about 5 or 6 years helping to move the sustainability plan forwards.
Okay, so really that was in many ways about making Unilever more purpose-driven. If you were working with an organisation fresh that decided that they want to have a stronger sense of purpose, what do you think is a major challenge and a major opportunity for an organisation starting out from what would have been a very traditional, pure short-term thinking type agenda?
I think it's very important that people don't think of a purpose-driven organisation as one that is decoupled itself from a profit motive, or that it doesn't recognise that there are core strategic things which it has to continue to do as a business. It's really about addressing some of these wider societal issues, wider societal trends, seeing them as not just challenges to the company. So it could be human rights issues, or it could be issues to do with environmental impacts like climate change, for example, but taking them and saying, well, what is it that we could do to address this within our core business? Recognize you can't fix the whole thing on your own, and you need a lot of partners to help you along that way. But what is it that we could do, given our footprint, given our scale? And based on that, what can we then use this as a vehicle for driving growth, for driving a strategic advantage from it? And I think that's really the core essence of things. It's not rocket science. It's just about essentially taking something which perhaps historically companies haven't fully costed or fully built into their business plans and seeing it as a new opportunity. The challenge, as you asked me, well, I think the challenge is that companies don't have a roadmap for how to do that. It's still nascent, and people are actually learning how to do this as they go. And so I think the real opportunity is for collaboration, because people just have, you can't figure this all out on our own. You need lots of different players to come in and work with you on it.
Miguel, thank you so much for joining me. I'm sure that the viewers will appreciate what you've said.
Thank you.